Okay, folks, welcome once again to Schnockered Wrestling Review. I'm your host, George the Drunken Animal. Today I'll be going over Backlash 2016. Overall, the show, I'd give it B+, A-. Nothing overly spectacular, nothing overly sucky. Just a decent to great show. You start off with the pre-show match was Baron Corbin versus Apollo Crews. Both of these guys in desperate need of something because neither one of them seemed to be going anywhere. Crews, he's got all the physical abilities in the world. He just has that smiley, happy personality that doesn't really fit with him for whatever reason. And then you got Baron Corbin, the lone wolf, who's supposed to be this big badass lone wolf type guy, but quite frankly sucks. He's not really that great. He's gotten better, but he's still really dependent on who he's wrestling to bring out anything in him. So if you could combine the athletic ability and look of Apollo Crews with the vicious edge that you have of Baron Corbin, you'd have one hell of a wrestler. But as it is, you got two mediocres at best. So you end up, Baron Corbin ends up winning it. Again, no big deal, nothing spectacular. Then your opening match was the Six Packs Women's Challenge for the brand new SmackDown Women's title. It was Becky Lynch, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Natalya, and Nikki Bella. Now, I'll be honest, going into this match, I fully expected it to be either Nikki Bella or Carmella to win this. But I was pleasantly surprised when Becky Lynch did end up winning it. One thing I will say, though, I timed it. It was 15 minutes between the time the pay-per-view started and the time the opening bell rang to start the first match. So with this brand split and everything, and they're going to be doing all these pay-per-views now that are 3 hours long. You're gonna get a lot of this filler stuff that is going to really hurt things in the long run, I think, because you end up having like 5 minutes between matches with just overall filler stuff. So anyway, again, at least they gave the women a good amount of time, almost 30 minutes, to do their stuff. They didn't even get the first elimination until 10 minutes in. So yeah, it was a decent match, and overall, I'm really glad that Becky Lynch did earn the women's title. Then the second match after that was the second chance tag match between the Usos and the Hype Bros, with the winner going on to face Slater and Rhino at the later on in the show to crown the first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champions. I like the Usos' new heel look. They've needed this for a while. They had a really good it gave them a really good edge and viciousness. So I like that about it. And I'll say this: Ryder put his working boots on to for his team and tried to make the best out of it. But when you got Ryder and Raleigh, it is what it is. So of course Usos do end up winning, getting a submission on Ryder after a chop block drop kick to the back of the knee on Ryder, and then a really nasty looking single leg hammerlock move for the tap out. So then your next match is the Miz versus Dolph Ziggler Intercontinental title match. A really good match. I did enjoy it. They did both put their working boots on, as I said with Ryder. Everybody out there, you could tell they were trying their best to impress, knowing they had as much time as they had and that they could do to show what they could show. One thing, the opening segment in the match there was just a complete and total rip-off of the CM Punk Mickey Gall UFC fight, with Ziggler charging in, double leg takedown on the Miz, ground and pound punches, and slapping on a rear naked choke, which was pretty much exactly what happened to CM Punk in his fight. But in this case, the Miz managed to get to the ring ropes and got the rope break. So it was just WWE pandering to the smart marks and being very petty and stupid. But as long as it didn't take anything away from the match, so it was all right. But this match, I want to say it went a good 20 minutes or so. And it was a good back and forth, as you would expect with the Miz and Ziggler. While the Miz has never been my favorite wrestler of all, I do like his personality now. He's doing this modern day honky tonk, I'm the greatest Intercontinental champion of all time, you will respect me type thing. And of course Ziggler, he's always good for putting on a show stealing match. The only problem is stealing the show is not the same as getting wins, and this poor sucker has not had a major win in so long it's not even funny anymore. They're trying to do something. They're even making a storyline out of how he can't win the big one and he doesn't know where he's going to go after this. So and the end comes when Miz threw Ziggler. He like kicked him or something. Ziggler staggered into the ropes. Maurice sprayed some kind of perfume, hairspray, whatever the hell it was, some international object, as it were, in his eyes, allowing the Miz to hit the skull-crushing finale and get the win there. So, again, a great match for what it was. It's just I don't know where they go with Ziggler from here. That you'll get that with a lot of the matches in this card. You just don't know where they're going with people after this. So then comes the advertised match was Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt in a one-on-one match. Well, earlier on in the show, in one of the many backstage segments that I had mentioned as taking place as filler, you had Bray Wyatt jumping Randy Orton in the back and just repeatedly wailing on his leg, looking like he's trying to break his leg or something. So you get Bray Wyatt's entrance, fireflies and all, and then all of a sudden the ring announcer goes, "Well, Randy Orton has not been medically cleared to wrestle, so the match is not going to go on," or something like that. And Bray Wyatt goes, "No, I want you to ring the bell and I want you to count him out so I can get a count-out victory." So, of course, the ref does that. Bray Wyatt gets his symbolic count-out victory, but then the ref goes that I've just now been informed that you will be having a match. It's a no DQ match, no holds barred match, whatever you want to call it, against this man, and out comes the Demon Kane. Now, I know a lot of people really rightfully show shit on the fact that they pulled this bait and switch because apparently Randy Orton hadn't been cleared since SummerSlam after the vicious beating he got at the hands of Brock Lesnar, and they knew a few days ago that this was the case, yet they still were advertising Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. So that really got a bunch of the fans in the audience pissed off and booing the match and everything else. But they eventually came along, and it was a hell of a match. I will give you that. They Kane and Bray Wyatt, I think, actually probably had a better match than Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt would at this point. Nothing against Randy Orton, but if he's still as injured as he is, this was probably the best that they could come up with, and Orton and Kane, or Wyatt and Kane, did go out and they let it all hang out, and they were beating the living hell out of each other. Now, the ending came when all of a sudden Randy Orton comes limping down to the ring after Wyatt had laid out Kane with a Uranagi on a chair, and hits the RKO. Kane sits up, hits the choke slam on Wyatt, and gets the win. That killed the entire fucking match for me. That I'll tell you this. I said there wasn't anything really bad with the show. This was the worst thing on the show. I don't know why the fuck they did it this way. They did not need to have Kane get a pinfall victory over Bray Wyatt for any fucking reason, even with Randy Orton limping down to the ring and hitting an RKO. There was no reason necessary for this at fucking all. Now, if it were up to me and I were the one setting up this match, what I would have had Wyatt go over clean on Kane, just lay him out with the Sister Abigail on the chair, do whatever it took, because Kane at this point, he doesn't need to win. He's bulletproof in that point. Wyatt is not anymore. Wyatt is another one of those guys that, if they're not careful, they're going to destroy what little credibility he has. Each time he starts to build some up, they cut the legs out from under him with some BS loss. So what I would have had was, like I said, have Wyatt lay out Kane with the Sister Abigail on the chair, and then as he's walking up the stage, have him turn around, look at Kane laid out, and then have Randy Orton come out from behind the curtain and lay him out with an RKO at that point. Then you would get your Randy Orton sighting with the RKO out of nowhere, and it continues to keep Wyatt strong after beating Kane, and the RKO out of nowhere would not hurt him as bad as what it did here, where he just takes it and then gets pinned after a chokeslam after beating the living daylights out of Kane for like 20-30 minutes. So, yeah, there was that. Then you had the finals for the tag team tournament. That was the Usos versus Slater and Rhino. I really do like what they did with this. It was a good back and forth match. Both teams looked really good. The majority of it was the Usos isolating Heath Slater and beating him down. Him occasionally making a quick tag and trying to getting Rhino in there. Rhino going as a house of fire. Then all of a sudden he blind tags himself back in. and gets beat down some more. Eventually it breaks down. Both the Usos are trying to double team him. He eats a super kick from one of them while the ref is busy trying to get the other one out of the ring. Rhino sneaks in, gores the other one. Forgive me, I don't know which is Jimmy and Jay at this point. I don't really care. They're both good. It's hard for me to tell them apart at this point. We'll see how that goes in the future. But anyway, whichever Uso ate a gore, then you have Rhino drag Slater over, pin the other one, rolled out of the ring. Ref turns around, sees it, counts 1, 2, 3. Slater wakes up, realizes he's actually won, and now has going to be able to get his SmackDown contract, and he gets the tag team titles. Starts yelling to Beulah about how they're going to move into a double wide. So I'm really glad of that. I like what they're doing with Rhino and Slater right now. I know they're only placeholder tag team champs for, until American Alpha can eventually come back. I'm assuming they'll sometime probably before No Mercy. You're going to have Slater and Rhino lose to the Usos, and then at No Mercy you'll have American Alpha come in and probably take the titles from the Usos, or do some kind of screwy finish on it and let American Alpha chase the Usos for a while before finally winning it at a big pay-per-view. That's what I would do. So that was what that was that. And then more backstage shenanigans. Funny thing here, I'm looking. AJ Styles runs into a couple of indie workers in the back and tells them, "Yeah, I'm the great one. You're never gonna make it. You two look like you suck and are never gonna make it. I'm the face that runs the place, but you do have the privilege of being able to tell your children and grandchildren that you were in the presence of and got to meet the phenomenal AJ Styles just before he wins the WWE World Championship, playing into his new smartass character really well. I did like that. AJ's promo ability has increased leaps and bounds since he got to the WWE. That was the one criticism he always had, was his promos were never that great, but he's definitely stepped up his game, and congrats to him on that. So then your final match, of course, is AJ Styles versus Dean Ambrose for the WWE World title. And this was the match of the night, which I fully expected it to be. This does really show how good AJ Styles is. And it showed, I think this kind of got rid of the bad taste of the Dean Ambrose Dolph Ziggler title match from SummerSlam. I don't know what went on in that match, whether they got a bunch of time cut or they were just told not to outshine, make sure that they didn't outshine Cena and AJ or whatever, but they just had no chemistry. Ambrose and Styles, they brought out the best in each other. They were both pulling out all sorts of moves, left, right, and sideways. It could have gone either way, and I would have been happy. But eventually, AJ shoves Ambrose into the ref, knocking him backwards for a minute, and then AJ sees the ref's not looking, reaches up, kicks him right in the, as AJ Styles called it, the Jesus zipper, aka the balls, and nails the Styles Clash, and he's now your first ever, or your new WWE World Champion. So again, it's going to be short and sweet. It was not there wasn't that many matches, a whole lot of filler. They also at one point replayed that stupid KFC commercial where the Miz was a chicken and Ziggler was a Colonel Sanders. I'll be so glad when they quit with that shit. That's it's just, that's the main thing I'm going to be taking away from these new brand split pay-per-views, is you're going to get a whole lot of filler, a whole lot of backstage segments just to fill time in a 3-hour show. When you only have 5 to 6 matches, you got to do something. So anyway, let me get my plugs out of the way. First, check out Josh Baker's Beer and Song of the Day on Facebook and YouTube. Check out Justin Dimmitt's Prosper. Nikki Trippy's Ground Zero Combat Wrestling. Kevin Sherman's Heavy Metal and Booze. All those on Facebook. Definitely check out Rich and Tyler's On the Network. They've got a podcast. They've got a Facebook page and a Facebook group that's both are fairly active. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at TheMaskCripple. If you have any ideas, if you want to see me get drunk and review something, old, new, whatever, hit me up, let me know. Subscribe, like, all that other good stuff. And once again, this is the Drunken Animal, looking up at the lights, taking the 1, 2, 3 after doing the JOB. Kompai, and good night.